Good evening. I'm Heather Murdock reporting to you on EnviroNews USA tonight from Los Angeles in an absolutely packed episode that is sure to be a shocker for those concerned about air quality, climate change, and human health. In response to national news in late May that pointed to a potential cluster of stillborn births in the heavily drilled and fracked Uintah Basin, we take you inside a leaky and sadly typical oil well in this vastly exploited area.
Oh my God. Whew. On the dump. Big antiquated equipment. You can see the massive oil when they're open.
Here we are on top of the water tank. That wasn't even covered, right?
Lid is missing from the tank.
3 separate and very interesting things have happened over the past few months, and what makes them even more interesting is the timing, and the fact that they all happened within such a short period. Sequentially speaking, the second and most recent thing that happened is that a midwife in the highly conservative oil patch community of Vernal, Utah in the Uintah Basin observed something. A ghastly discovery that apparently no state or federal agencies, nor even the local Tri-County Health Department had yet observed. Dead babies, and way too many of them. Newsweek broke the story about Donna Young and the apparent cluster of stillborn Uintah Basin babies, and it turned out that the midwife of 19 years had put 2 and 2 together after experiencing the first stillborn birth in her nearly 2 decades of practice, then subsequently noticing abundant newborn graves in the local cemetery. She then began to do her own research by tracking infant obituaries in the local Uintah County paper, and what she found turned out to be very shocking indeed. Upon further examination, her observations revealed the stark fact that heavily fracked and drilled Vernal area had just witnessed an elevation in infant deaths, rising from numbers that closely resembled the national average back in 2010 to a number 6 times that by 2013. The Uintah Basin has undergone a massive boom in oil and gas development in the last several years. A boom that, like the explosion in North Dakota's Bakken Shale, has led to an increase in oil production by hundreds of % in just a few short years. So, having noted that very scary situation in Vernal, brings us to our second very interesting thing that happened in the past few months. Only it happened first. On March 13th of this year, in an ACS Journal, Environmental Science and Technology article, it was revealed that researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder had conducted a 2-year study that cited that the volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, in the Uintah Basin were completely off the charts. The number of the VOCs floating around in the Uintah Basin airshed was so high, in fact, that as part of the study, the authors noted that the total amount of VOCs measurable in the area was the equivalency of what would be emitted by 100 million automobiles, or about 1/3 of all the vehicles in America, all in a small, rural, and sparsely populated area. Now, the list of the EPA's volatile organic compounds contains some really nasty, cancerous, and birth defect-causing stuff, like benzene, toluene, xylene, and many more. But it's the exorbitantly high amounts of VOCs present in the Uintah Basin that makes midwife Donna Young's discovery of a potential cluster of stillborn babies that much more alarming. So, to top it all off, the third thing that happened recently shone even more light on the baffling Uintah Basin air crisis, when data was released in the movie star-packed Showtime series Years of Living Dangerously, that once again displayed how the people of this region are swimming in dangerous and downright deadly airborne pollutants. The celebrity-stuffed series effectively demonstrates that methane leakage from oil wells is far beyond what has ever been acknowledged by the industry, or the EPA for that matter. And according to the show's research, the Uintah Basin came in as the second leakiest oil field in America, with an overall methane escape of 11%, second only to areas not far from here in the Los Angeles Basin that came in at 17%. In an effort to curb the potentially catastrophic effects of global warming, President Barack Obama has touted natural gas as a method to lower the carbon-loaded emissions from coal-fired power plants by transitioning to what he claims is a cleaner form of energy in natural gas, a notion that is made questionable by the exposed facts about methane leaks in the Showtime series.
The experts believe it could support more than 600,000 jobs by the end of the decade. We, it turns out, are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We've got a lot of it. We've got a lot of it.
One final piece of this unique and escalating air pollution puzzle to examine is a set of studies and articles that have been released over the past few years. These publications demonstrate that in addition to the aforementioned air pollution issues, the Uintah Basin is also experiencing the highest ozone levels in the United States, namely during the winter months. The fact that the basin is experiencing these dangerous and even deadly levels of toxic ground-level ozone pollution during the winter, instead of during the summer months when ozone levels typically spike, creates yet another unique pollution mystery in the area. Enter EnviroNews and our very own National Editor-in-Chief, Emerson Urie, in an exclusive report that might just answer some of the hows and whys in this ongoing and escalating rural air pollution and human health conundrum. Urie flew into the Uintah Basin with a familiar face, or should we say a familiar ski mask, on the EnviroNews network, in an effort to shine some light in these dark, eerie, and at times poisonous places. After viewing a brief interview, we're going to watch what happened when an anonymous North American oil and gas CEO of over 20 years took EnviroNews USA for a walk on a typical antiquated Uintah Basin oil well with an air monitoring device. What we discovered there is a bit disturbing. Take a listen.
We're here on EnviroNews USA this evening. We've flown in with our anonymous North American oil and gas CEO to the magnificent and pristine Uintah Basin over on the Utah-Colorado border. We've done this in response to the Showtime documentary Living Dangerously, with a report that showcased an 11% methane leakage coming for this area. So we're here today with our anonymous North American oil and gas CEO, transported into the Uintah Basin to talk about this issue. Hello today, sir.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about the situation with every well in the Uintah Basin being an emitter of some type of gas and or other issues. These wells, in the cumulative total of nearly 10,000 wells or more, gas or oil, are all emitting something, and that is the cumulative total that they speak of in the Showtime series. Also recently there was a situation in the local papers about stillborn babies in Vernal, Utah, which is on the northeastern flank of the field. And basically the whole air of this basin is clearly affected. You get this number of wells with lacks of supervision by the oil companies. In the early 80s, the EPA had vapor recovery units planned for every well. During the Reagan administration, those things just basically never happened, and they haven't happened yet. So consequently, here we are today with every well in the emitter adding to a situation which increases the air pollution and creates multiple situations, ranging potentially from stillborn babies in Vernal to situations that could include cancer or multiple types of things.
And so what we've got going today is we've come out here and you've brought a piece of equipment, right? What can you tell us about that, and how are you going to utilize that to demonstrate how each and every well is indeed an emitter?
In a few minutes, we're going to take the RAE monitoring, what we call a gas sniffer, is the proper terminology for oil field people, and simply go to an average well and sniff a few areas on the site and prove to you that every well's an emitter.
All right, well, let's go ahead and step on out to the well site and take a look at what this piece of equipment can tell us.
Looking forward, thank you.
The unit the man was using is made to detect 5 different things: oxygen levels, which typically remain consistent, CO2, methane, volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and LELs, or the levels of combustible materials present.
Okay, where are we at? What's going on here? Gas sniffer.
We're in a typical gas shack that separates the gas and comes out the methanol in the winter. What I have in my hand is a ray gas sniffer. Tests various gases, volatile organic compounds, CO2.
Is there anything coming out of this gas house here?
It smells like it. And then it's we open the smell on it like it smells awful under the 16 egg.
It's like the volatile compounds are elevating.
Yeah.
Okay, so like VOCs coming off the gas house.
Yeah.
Okay, what more can you tell us?
I just feel like this is typical of any well really in America, but certainly in the Uintah Basin because it has one of the higher emissions of gas and or other compounds.
Oilman X, as we've labeled him, continued to take us on a grand tour of the site, and at each and every place, leaks were detected.
Smell like gas?
Whew. Okay, what can you tell us about where we are now?
Where we are here, we're on top of the production tanks. Water at the tank 1, gas, and can escape from these valves that are on top. Gas can escape from these hatches. You can see the mass of oil when they're open. During the 80s, the EPA required that they have vapor recovery units on every well to recover vapors that were escaping into the atmosphere. And at the advent of the Ronald Reagan era, those controls were thrown by the wayside after the Carter presidency. And basically, here we are today with bad air in the Uintah Basin, and the potential exists for every one of these things is an emitter situation. These things fail, these things leak, in each area, if it's just putting off a few MCF a day of gas, and other volatile compounds. That's why we're here today. It's that simple.
And so what you're saying is, back in the 80s even, there was a system in place to capture all of the emissions off of these tank storage systems, and it's not happening.
That is correct. It wouldn't have been perfect because there's still escapes, but they've thrown away here in Utah the Republican-dominated legislature, and basically the governor and governors have basically not enforced regulations or joined with the EPA to have operators take care of these issues. Operators say, oh, well, we'll lose jobs. How about losing babies' lives like up in Vernal and the other scenarios that are happening throughout the basin and the health of the people?
As it is too dangerous to climb out on the storage tanks, the oil executive popped the hatch on the oil production tank and measured the emissions in order to demonstrate what actually is coming out of the valves. The valve is the open pipe that you see in the middle of the tank. It should be noted that not all operators in the basin take the quickest, cheapest, and most haphazard road to profit circumventing vapor recovery units and other safety and environmental upgrades. For example, Bill Barrett Corporation has done a lot of drilling in the area and is using vapor recovery units on many of their sites. However, in our observations, most of the operators in the field are not.
Okay, rolling tape again. Here we going.
Back down from a tank storage battery.
Rolling tape. Where are we now?
When the separator house separates gas off the top, oil here, water, and it goes to the gas house we were just at, and the water down below.
So that's some VOCs coming out of the gas separator.
Each time that the dump dumps to the tanks or to the water tank, just watch this. We're going to touch the dump here. You ready?
Over on the water tank.
The point I was trying to make, you hear that when it dumps?
Mm-hmm.
Each time it dumps, the antiquated equipment vents the gas. And it's venting all day long.
Say it's venting all day long.
Like that, off and on, every time it dumps water to the tank.
now we're going up on top of the water tank, correct?
Known as the water tank.
Okay, so where are we now?
Inside the water tank that goes into an underground water disposal system is showing the 4
VOCs.
Yes. And that's appearing to be a fairly constant number, just escaping from somewhere inside this tank house. Okay, we'll move to the top of the tank.
So here we are on top of the water tank. That wasn't even covered, right?
The lid is missing from the tank, so you have constant emissions. No vapor recovery unit to recover these vapors. And to the top of the...
I got it.
The vapor recovery unit would be tied to the top of that. It appears to be wide open. Notice that as I took the probe out, it's dropping down. But we're on a windy day.
Quite windy, actually.
Probably a 10-mile-an-hour breeze. And so I'm going to go back inside the open tank.
And this was just like this. We just discovered it.
This tank leads to a buried underground water disposal system, it appears. And
Getting gassed up here.
yeah, I think we need to move off. That breeze helped a little.
Shall we?
Alright, we're going down. We're just standing out in the air here
On a breezy day.
on a breezy day, 10-mile-an-hour wind, I would guess. I find this just reprehensible that the air, 1 well times 10,000, that's all you gotta know. This is unbelievable. Thank you.
In the days we were shooting this episode in the beautiful and once pristine area, we noticed that many older tank units on well sites were indeed missing lids. Sitting there open and exposed, these antiquated units off-gas toxins into the open air and environment on continual basis. If there is one thing that is clear, it is that the Uintah Basin is reeling from a unique and hampering air pollution crisis. Are elevated levels of volatile organic compounds in the Utah's most productive oil patch to blame for the cluster of stillborns uncovered by midwife Donna Young? Hopefully more research will soon give us the answer to that question. For EnviroNews USA, Heather Murdock, Los Angeles.